Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for being here. That is very important because you guys force me to study, and that is the best. Okay, thank you. So let me see who is here and say hello. 1 second. Alex, Arvind, Elaine, Jan, right? Jake, Gian, Jim, John. Lots of J. That's very nice. And Scott and Steve. Okay, very, very welcome. Thank you. I am going to open the chat and I will say hello, everybody. So, hello from Houston. Okay. Okay. Good day, Jim. And Memphis, Raleigh, Dallas. Very, very nice. RTP. So, I'm sharing the screen. There you are. I'm going to our webinar page. That's here. I'm opening that. There you are. And I'm giving you the link. That is the link to this page. So if you click on that, you will be able to see the same thing as we all are seeing. So right here in chat, that's our link. So if you click there or if you type those letters, you will be able to see that's your page. Now, for those people who are new, what is this about? That's whatever is new in AI from a very specific point of view. I'm a developer, so from the point of view of the developer, what new technologies there are, and at least one new lesson, one new technology is every week, and that's very nice. And that all agrees with Andrew Ng's philosophy that, well, you have to like it. You cannot say like it or not, but the life is it's consisting of learning for a large part. It wasn't like that before all of those last 3 years started. Now, I personally love to learn, so I was learning, and I was saying that this daily learning, whatever it is, prepares me for the future, and I think this future is here. But anybody who is not there, that's the learning path. Now, right here, you see the learning path. I'm clicking on that, and you see what we covered in our webinars right here. We started from essentially number one, generative AI for everybody, which is still a perennial favorite and is advertised by Coursera all the time. From then on, you can go non-stop. You see all new technologies. The way it is constructed is this. First of all, the name, then the company that does it. I'll say a word about that. Then the link to the course, so you can click there. And many of them are free and just require a registration. Some of them could be, especially Coursera, may have a subscription, about $40-50 per month. Okay, now on the right here, you have the downloaded and verified and works on my machine kind of situation. That is quite a lot really here in our repository. And today we will be in the end looking at building coding agents for tool execution. That is a mouthful, and I'll tell you what it is. Okay? But before we do that, let's go back. So here we are. Good morning from Vallejo. Okay, so that is what we are all about learning new things. And what we're going to talk about are three things here. First of all, we'll look at the news. The news usually include the new course, but here it's an interesting thing that's going on with, well, every day there is something new and interesting going on with AI. But this time we'll see that China trusts AI. 60% of Chinese people trust. And because they trust, it turns out that they use it. Now, Andrew Ng will take it further. It will say, but Americans do not trust. When I showed it to my wife, she said, but all of my friends, they use it all the time. But then she said, but all my friends all over the world, so it doesn't count. So let's look at that news first. Then we'll look at the this new agentic. Again, we're non-stop doing agentic for at least 3 last months, and then I will show you a specific use case that I'm working on. We call it document researcher. Okay, we'll go back. So first of all, that's the news that Andrew sent today, and he is always based on something. So fact number one is that he says, I'm using these research from two, I think, Pew. I hear it everywhere. So Edelman and Pew Research. And what they say is 49% of Americans reject the use of AI and 17% embrace it. So you would think, okay, new technology, of course, it will be slow, but he compares it to China. Of course, he is from China himself. And in China, 10% reject and 54 embrace it. All right, an interesting fact. What does it mean to us? What it means to us, he says, is that you Americans will be left behind. That is what will happen because you don't trust it, you don't adopt it, and because you don't adopt it, you're left behind. Of course, that can change, but that is an interesting conclusion for now, at least. What I wanted to say is that when people show me, well, AI makes mistakes, and that's the famous claim that how do you trust it? It makes mistake. Well, and you don't make mistakes. That's not an argument, but the argument is that of course it makes mistake. Everybody makes mistakes. Even I make mistakes. Okay, humans make mistakes, so that's okay. That's how you find out what is truth in an argument, and you just need to learn the very, very basic fact. And the basic fact is that you need to know how to talk to it. No, don't just say, oh, you lie. Correct it. It learns. That is what ChatGPT is doing. OpenAI. I did read it that they want to make this OpenAI into your personal friend who will know all about you. Very plain and simple. Everything. So I'll show you how I, for example, use it. It's not perfect by any means, but at least it shows you one person's way. So I go to chat, and on the left here, you have projects, okay? So I have multiple projects, and when I'm talking about a specific, like let's say this one, a specific thing, and I'm continuing that conversation, I go to that conversation, maybe I give it a name, and really it's simple and obvious, but I ask how to deal with my partners. I ask how to do my videos. Like I did one video. So we released the next version of Frida. I'll tell you more about that. But I'm asking, okay, I recorded the video. So now I want to record how to add an AI component to that. And that gives me good advice about don't re-record yours. It's just a waste of time. Justifies its opinion. Instead, it says, do the second video, which will refer to the first one. And I don't know how to do it, so ask how to do it. Well, I tell me. So it's nothing new, it's nothing revolutionary. But what I wanted to show is that at least I trust it. And where I don't trust it, well, verify. Okay. So a little comment here. Hello, everybody. Okay, but let's go on. Let's continue here. So that's about trust. There was one more interesting news item. So we'll look at this course. I don't remember what was the second thing, but I know that my little robot, an AI robot, is on its way. When Hugging Face advertised that robot, it's so cute that that it's hard to resist. But it seems like they underestimated the demand, so it's coming in three batches. I should have my little robot. It's a desktop robot very soon. Okay, done about that. That was the news. That was right here. The next is this. Now that's building coding agent. So I'll show you what it is about. That's my link there. And here I will show you a little introduction. So you would ask, why do I need yet another agentic thing? And it turns out it's from the company called C2B, I think. It does say here. No, no. Okay, let's go to the learning path. And at the bottom here, E2B, that's the company. So question is, okay, you're E2B, you got Andrew's attention, you prepared your course. You're also doing agentic. Well, everybody is doing agentic. What is special about you today when there are so many providers? Here's the answer. Okay. Here's what you will see in this course, and they build it with JS. It's Next.js. That's what is special. So that particular course will concentrate on particular technology. But you might say, well, okay, very good. I can learn JS technology without you guys. And the answer is that let's add something interesting. We will show you how exactly to build agentic systems, smart systems, what are the rules, and you will learn something. That is their claim to fame. So here's what the course will introduce: how coding agents work in general, how to be very secure and safe and executed in an isolated sandbox. By the way, you will need to manage files to make them real, capable agents. Give them control over your files, and for that, put it all in a sandbox. That's what it will be about. So it will be, we will show you a sandbox next.js application. That's the end result, but that is how it goes step by step. So first, what is an agent? An agent, by now we know, it is something that reasons about what it should do next. It has a choice of tools and it can decide which tool to use. It then goes in a loop, and then people invented a name for that called, I think, reflection. In other words, once the agent has done something, it should look at what the result was. It's not extremely groundbreaking, but that's how humans do. Well, the agents do the same thing. Now, I'm not going to look at comments yet. I instead will go through the slides. Okay, 1 second, I'll close the door. Okay, so that is in general how things work, but keep in mind that agents are for a reason. Each agent may specialize in something specific, and it may have a choice of tools, choice of LLMs, and very important, that's how you can make it secure. You can say, you are my agent for this, and by the way, you're not allowed to go beyond that border. So that is possible pattern on how to making it secure. That's number one. Number two is, well, there are lots of LLMs, and this is where you learn something else. So those guys teach you a choice of LLM. By the way, they tell you that there is a SWE bench. SWE stands for software, and it turns out there is such a bench. Maybe you knew, but I didn't. So I went and researched that a little bit. What software LLMs there are and which ones work best for your purpose. How do they estimate what it is your purpose? It's right here. I'll show you. So in that case, they know what they're looking for. They look for an LLM that will support JSON. JSON is a very popular common lingua. It should have enough tokens. And why do you need 30,000 tokens per question? I will tell you why. It turns out, yes, you do need all of that. And coding benchmarks is like this one, which I'm showing you, is what you should be using. Okay, so we go to SWE benchmark, that's how I pronounce it. But it's not related to the course. It's outside. Just what is it? Well, so it turns out there is a benchmark. By the way, it reminds me of another benchmark called harm benchmark, and that is for hackers. Now that one is for do-gooders, let's say, and was created by Princeton, and it evaluates your tasks on some very specific real world engineering tasks. Where do you get them from? You get them from GitHub. In GitHub, there are people who are working together on projects. So that's something to learn from. How do humans work on that? I'm an agent and I'm going to learn from there. Very, very smart. And each benchmark item will have a description of an issue. It will have a repository to learn from. It will show you which test cases were failing and therefore what you should learn from. I was amazed. I didn't know that. That's yesterday when I saw it. So what we measure is, does it understand my bugs? Does it understand my whole code base? How does it do page generation and so on? Now, why it matters to us is because there are many LLMs and many of them are already industry standard. So you can see where they are in this SWE bench, and the results are very interesting. Humans are much better. That's amazing, right? Humans as are represented by a team working together, concentrated on one thing. They beat AI. Not for long, probably, because there is a note here. It's that if you use agents and not specific models are great, but an agent can work with multiple models, change what it's doing. So they say that there's a good numbers real, but if you go and build an agent, that will even be better. All right, with this introduction, we begin to understand what you are building. You realize that most of the times when AI is not perfect, it's because it doesn't know all that you know. That is called the context. And therefore, context is king, and the context includes your system, your tools, your message of back and forth, and other documents. Well, with that much context, you realize why you need 30K, 30,000 little tokens to go back and forth, because that's a lot of what we know and what AI doesn't unless you tell it. So that's what you do. That's how you build that context-driven agentic, happens to be built in JS. And then that context explodes, which I already mentioned. That is what else is included, and that is called context threat, context explosion. That's the problem. How do you deal with that? That you see, it is real. Well, you deal with that by structuring and condensing it, compressing it to something reasonable, and then you go into what other tricks you can do. So I think that is the whole course introduced to you. The links are there. You can go and look at this slide deck that's open. And one more thing is that you need to give it the capability to write files. So therefore, you need to be secure and you need to give it the guidelines. And then Remember the loop? You do something, you think about what you've done, and you do the next step. So you think about this, and there is one thing that your agent can do wrong, and that is it can just go into a loop. If you code it with AI, then you know that sometimes it just goes into a loop. It makes some mistakes, you fix it, show the result, then it wants to fix that, goes back, uncovers the previous error, and goes into a loop. So you need to put this into a loop, and in the end, you will be building a proper agent. Now, how many people will want to do building on that level? That's a very sophisticated system. Let me ask you that question. So I'm going to chat. So thank you, Paul. Terminology alert. It's Amazon calls Kira, which we know Kira. Kira is an ID. That's what I would call it. It's an ID. To illustrate what Paul is talking, I am lucky to have Kira. So what you do is you go into your project here, and there you say Kira. So to me, it looks like an ID, but maybe I just don't know enough, and maybe really it's a coding agent. Well, we'll leave it for later. How about that we do this? We'll go back to our outline, and for the next one, we will review Kira and redo it. Is Kira a coding agent? So here we'll say on December 12th, we'll talk about or an IDE, right? And that will be an interesting thing, and we will review that. Now, Jake says that he would be interested in exactly that kind of programming. Well, Jake, I leave it open. If you really do it, like take the course, let me give you the link here so that you don't have to search too much. It's from that company. And here's the course itself. And well, here is, okay, here is it. So, Jake, my email is mark@skaya.ai. And write to me if you want to show how you worked with, how it helped you, what kind of things you're doing. You could write to me and you will show it the next time. Thank you. Okay. Now, um, so I was going to go back here. And what I wanted to do is this. So I have this open source tool. The open source tool is called FREED, and that stands for Free Electronic Evidence Discovery, which resulted out of my fascinations with lawyers and logic. Now, we just did the latest release, but what came up is that we have a use case which is maybe a little bit to the side. Now, that's for lawyers. But not only lawyers could use that. Let's say you're an investigative journalist and somebody dumps some kind of dump. So you get a lot of interesting data, but you don't know what it all means. So why don't you load into some platform and let it look at all your documents, allow it to ask questions. That's what we're building. Okay, so if I click here, it seems like I don't have access. So anyway, I'll just tell you. So I had a question of should I build it on top of Freed, as I naturally would do it because look, that's what it's doing. It's reading all of the data. It's called ingestion. So it's ingesting all of the data, and then Freed can do what it does for lawyers: look at the documents, do the keyword search, and also do the AI search. I also already have implementation of that uh, on Amazon, so seems to be exactly right. But I have a friend who is working with me on that, and he thinks no, no, don't do it. It will be in his mind a Python-based application. It's definitely a need. People need it for other purposes. For example, insurance. For example, um, healthcare. Okay, so I don't know. I think I'm prejudiced. I like my stuff. He's prejudiced. He likes new. All right, I go in and I just ask ChatGPT. Okay, ChatGPT right here to help me. 1 second. That's freed and everything that relates to it, and the use cases. So one of those use cases is document researcher. Again, it's very simple what I have to do. I might get gigabytes and terabytes of data, and I just want to make sense out of that, right? So uh, I ask AI, what does it think? And I'll tell you, it finds a good compromise. That's what is very interesting. So I think it is this one. Okay. And that's where I explain my problem exactly the way I explained it to you. I said that I have my own application, but we can build a new one. Well, it said that don't drop the previous one and don't completely do the new one. And then explain good reasons. Use the previous one, the freed, use it as an ingestion engine, and then build a new application on top of that or together with that. I was amazed. I was amazed because I did not see that. I didn't see that it would be exactly, well, all the good reasons why do it his way. Okay, who said that it is right? So we can still discuss, but I think that was a very good discussion. That's not the first time that I kind of learn from AI, but also from myself. I have another project. Well, I'll have to tell you what project that is. I have the whole Talmud. Now, the Talmud is Jewish law. That's why I was fascinated by uh, secular law as well. And it covers quite a lot. It's 2,711 pages. And if you want to talk about any page, go to any page. Like somewhere there was inheritance, but it doesn't matter. Go anywhere, any page will do. That's illustrated with pictures. That's, by the way, the visual trespass, and that's what we're talking about. But go to Moses AI, who will explain that better. And that's an AI agent that is based on these documents, and you can ask more. So I was asking about inheritance. Tell me about inheritance laws. Okay. So what happened is that I was wondering, is that a good thing to disinherit your kids? Now, they will say no, it's not a good thing. But occasionally people do such things. Okay, it will go into tell. I told him to first look into my summaries. All right, gives me a summary. But then it talks about other aspects. What I want to know is how about disinherit How about disinherit your kids? I hope it understands that I misspelled. Yeah, that's what I meant. And it said an amazing thing. It is strongly discouraged. So I wrote myself. I wrote these summaries myself. And nevertheless, it could teach me something that kind of you wrote but forgot. Think of this. Why did you get that dollar that you're bragging about? And now you want to say you are in control. Well, really, are you in control? That's a philosophical aspect that I didn't think about. Okay. Here is what I wanted to show you, how it helps resolve even simple questions. And I must say that not everybody likes that. There is this argument. Now, stop sharing. There is this argument that if you use AI, your brain stops thinking. Now, my counter argument that if you use the car, your legs don't stop moving. It's just sometimes you use the car and sometimes you walk. But I wonder what you think. And that is what I want to ask here. Do you think that when you use use AI, you weaken your brain essentially because you don't train it? Okay? And if you do think this way, then it's kind of hard to argue against you because it sounds like it's a valid thought. If I'm not using my brain for anything that I do, if I'm using AI, then maybe my brain stops working hard because it gets lazy. Or maybe just the opposite happens. So I don't know. Will you answer anything you know? But I know what I would answer. That's not what I see. That's what I will say. Instead, what I see is that humans should treat AI as a partner. It's a collection of all knowledge around. We know that. But it works. So in my practical life, it works all the time. Yeah. So when Helen, when you say true, you mean true that no, it's not an enemy, it's your partner, right? That's what you mean. Yeah. Thank you. All right. Well, anyway, I think we have a little bit biased audience that we are who came to listen to what's new in AI. So probably they think it really is great. Okay. So let me do this. I covered all I wanted. I'll share the screen again. So share the screen again and go to this and I'll promise to talk about document researcher. Next time it will probably be already around because that's what Andrew Ng famously said. So in interviews, instead of saying, do you use blah, blah, blah framework, is can you next week, can you build the platform completely operational for me? That's the style. And I was taught this is called jibe coding. So we covered what's new. There was not anything great new, but there was an interesting new course, and some people are on that level and they want to do it. We talked about document research. Now, what I will do is this: I will shut up for a minute and disappear from the view and ask you if you have any suggestions or questions. And suggestions, I mean, for the next time. All right, it worked. Thank you very much. Wow, Kathir, that's so nice one. So yes, you were working in San Diego, and yes, I was teaching. San Diego is my just favorite place. It's a very, very nice place. Okay, so hello. But then Marcio asks, what are your thoughts on token-oriented object notation? And I have to tell you that I honestly, the first time I hear about this. So therefore, I do the screen share and I, so first of all, tune. Let me copy that and we'll put it in the next subject. Here you are. Secondly, you have a Coursera subscription, at all that you need, because the deep learning AI courses are all available on Coursera, and moreover, they all free even outside of Coursera. I believe so far that's how it is. Andrew Ng once told that his plan is, well, first of all, he praised himself. He said that it's easy to write mediocre courses, but my courses are all perfect, and they are all so far free. And how many? 150. Now, in my list, about 120, but he lists more. And yes, you can have all of deep learning AI now. Then the next question about free, is it using local interface or going out to the web? Yeah, I'll tell you, that's a good question, John. Free is completely local. There's one option to do completely local. And right now, it is going out to ChatGPT for AI questions. Now, from there, it would not be hard to add one more option, and that is use the local model. So the answer is, since it's not clear what to do, we do it for every occasion. So we now have a version to work on Amazon with the goal of 1 terabyte an hour ingestion. So we got it. That's working. I just need to release it, but it's there. Then the next question is free. It is using all local for keyword search, but everything is completely local. You just go to the command line like this. You go into the install and then to the latest version. Okay, and then you start all and everything works. And if you want AI, you provide your own key and it goes out to ChatGPT. But I like your question because it hints to the fact that yes, there are quite a lot of people who don't want going out to the web ever, and that is another option. So you have an option to go to Amazon, especially for lawyers, absolutely. And then I just run it on a virtual machine within its own environment. But some people like it. They have too much hardware, they say. So can we use it on your hardware? Yes, yes, you can. Thank you for those questions and for this. What do you think about Tune? A couple more questions here. So, Marcio, you saw that I'm not answering here. You gave it on another place. I answered them, and we're good. We're good on these. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. One more thing, I missed last week, so I followed the link. I think with that's a good question. We fixed that. That works now. So recorded versions are all here. So where you go is elephant scale, and at elephant scale, you go to webinars. Now in webinars, it's misleading. It says register now, but it really takes you to the uh, place. And if you're registered, then you don't even need anything. You just go into into every Friday. think sign up, and that really is the confused. Okay, I'll check it, but I know that there is a link, the link where every oh, here you are. Go to YouTube. So let's see if it's working. Okay, so 10 days ago. So more or less current. You cannot ask for more than just 10 say days ago, but yes, more or less we publish what's the last. That was the last week. So yes, correct. I'll give you that link so that you don't have to go through all the chats that I went through. There you are. And with that, I thank you again. Everybody have a great week and a great year to come. Okay, everybody who said thank you, I say thank you back.